Alright, so this is consonants part 2. And we are talking about, we just started talking about the IPA. And you'll notice that it is organized by the three main features that we talked about before: place of articulation, manner of articulation, and voicing or glottal state. And as soon as this comes up, you will see that some of the consonants appear in pairs. So P and B are a pair right here. And as it says down here, where symbols appear in pairs, the one to the right represents a voiced consonant. So B is voiced and P is voiceless. It's a little easier to understand with these sounds down here. So F and V. V is to the right. V, it vibrates your throat, it's voiced. F is to the left, it's voiceless. You don't feel that vibration in your throat. So it's organized by voicing or glottal state. Along the top you can see how it's organized also by place of articulation. So bilabial stops P and B, you use both of your lips. P, B. Your lips come together. You're using both of your lips. Also for M, you're using both of your lips. Your lips are joining together there. In English, we also have labiodental sounds, F and V, F and V, where your lips, your labio, and your dentals, your teeth, are coming together. We also have these dental sounds here represented by the Greek letters theta and ev. So, F and V, these are the sounds like bath or bathe, usually spelled as TH in English. They're dental because you're using your teeth. We also have alveolar sounds, T, D, N, S, Z. This is actually R, R. Those sounds are all produced with the same place of articulation, which is right at that alveolar ridge, sort of between the hard palate and the soft palate. We also have some post-alveolar fricatives in English. These ones right here, this sort of long, skinny, weird-looking thing, is called esh, sh. And then we have this sound, which is kind of like a funny Z, zh, the sound in garage. In English, we also have the K. We have some velar sounds, k, g, This is the sound at the end of sing. Sing is spelled, this is another good example of where the orthography or the graphemes, the spelling, doesn't match up with the actual phonemes or the sounds. So sing is spelled with an NG, but it's actually, we don't pronounce it that way. We don't say sing, we say sing. So that's with a velar nasal. Other sounds that so those are, I guess, yeah. And we also have some glottal sounds in English. So the sound in or uh-oh, that is a glottal stop. So you're actually creating a constriction at your glottis. We also have the H, as I mentioned before, where your glottis is just wide open. Alright, so those are places of articulation that we use in English. You can see that some of the places of articulation, like retroflex, we don't use at all. That sounds like these, for example, sound like P, D. They sound a lot like T and D, but they sound quite different if you speak Hindi or a language where it uses retroflex sounds. So we also need to look at the manners of articulation. So plosives, I will more usually call these stop consonants, but you'll hear both terms. You should be familiar with both terms. These are sounds where there's a complete constriction in the mouth. P, B, feel how your lips come all the way together. T, D, feel how your tongue completely blocks the airflow in those sounds. It's called a stop because you're stopping the air. Nasal sounds are sounds that come out of the nose, so it's a nasal sort of manner of articulation. And again, with these, you have a complete constriction in the mouth. So, your lips are completely sealed. The air can't come out of your mouth, so it has to come out of your nose. Same for N, there's a complete constriction. The air has to come out of your nose. And the same for our velar nasal, there's a complete constriction closer to the back of the throat, and again, the air comes out of the nose. Now in English we don't have trills, but you probably are all familiar with the R trill from Spanish. It's alveolar. There are also some languages with bilabial trills, brr, or uvular trills. Brr. There's a uvular trill in French. sounds better when they say it than when I do it. We won't worry about the taps and flaps. Fricatives are interesting though. Fricatives are what happens, what you get when you have just a really slight constriction, a really tight constriction, sorry. So the air is being forced through a really tiny little area. So in F and V, your teeth are coming into contact with the lip, but there's a little bit of space maybe between your front teeth or around some of your teeth, a little bit of space, and the air is being forced out of there. Similar for or s or sh or zh or z. There's a tight constriction, and the air is creating a lot of vibration because there's just such little area to go through. And so these sounds are pretty noisy. Lateral fricatives we don't have in English. The voiceless lateral fricative, the L with the little hook on it, they have that in Navajo. It sounds like approximants are sounds that are made by having the tongue come sort of close to the roof of the mouth, and they're sort of more liquidy sounding sounds. So the upside down R, that's our R sound, it's a little confusing because the regular R is actually the r, the trill. The upside down R is the sound that we have in English, Another approximant that we have in English is ya, it's spelled with a J. And the lateral means side. And when you say if you notice when you say the L sound, L, the air is coming out of the side of your tongue. The tip of your tongue is on the roof of your mouth, and the air is coming out from the side. That's why those are called laterals. So those are the sounds, the regular sounds that we're more familiar with in English. Some of these sounds we're not familiar with, but they're sounds that are common in other languages of the world. And the great thing about IPA is we can also represent all these clicks and non-pulmonic sounds, we call them, some sort of more unusual sounds. I can't say them all, but for example, the bilabial click, it sounds like sort of smacking your lips. The dental click is kind of the tisk-tisk sound. The lateral click, alveolar lateral down at the bottom, again the air is coming out of the side of my tongue when I do that, sort of the clip-clop, the galloping sound from a horse. Implosives are interesting because they're made not by expelling air out of the lungs and out of the mouth, but by creating a vacuum in the mouth and sucking some air in. So the bilabial implosive is similar to the sound B, but it's a ba. The dental is da, the velar is la. So they sound kind of funny to us, but these are sounds from other languages. The ejectives I'm not so good at making, but if you want to hear them, I highly recommend the clickable IPA chart. I put a link to that on the D2L website under the content for today. It's very interesting. And you can hear people who are actually good at making these sounds. And you can hear what other languages sound like. Alright, I'm going to split the lecture here again. Just make sure I don't go over YouTube's 10 minutes.